So what we're going to do now is hop over to LittleBigPlanet 3 and look in detail at how you can get started making your own gameplay elements. We're going to create a ramp, we're going to create a skateboard out of different elements in the game, and we're going to attach some rocket jets to that skateboard that the player can control. So a nice little element that would get you started and could be the beginnings of quite an interesting video game. Here we are, this is the skateboard we're going to be creating. You can see there's kind of a plank of cardboard in the middle, you've got those two wheels attached to it, and you've got sensors. When the player stands at the front, the rear jet fires, and when the player stands at the back, the front jet fires. So in that way you can control the motion of this little custom skateboard that we created. But first of all, let's have a look at what's in the menu. So you pop up the Pop It menu by pressing the square button, and you can navigate around with the stick. Here you can see in the materials area, there's all sorts of different materials you can make different elements from in the game, as well as a whole bunch of different objects. Now you collect and expand this collection by playing the main game and collecting those items as you progress. We're going to use this newspaper object, and I'm going to be creating a ramp for our skateboard to go along. Now as you pull it into the world, you can see it's created a cube, but we want to create a long sort of pipe so that we can then run this along the level and create a platform for our skateboard to go along. Now we're going to start it up here. I think it will probably end up being a bit lower, but we'll do it up here so that we've got enough space to do it along. If we go along and we just twist it now, and we're going to then move along again, and it's going to go down. So we're just moving it and twisting it as we go to create this nice skateboard ramp that we're going to be running our skateboard on. And we're going to put a little jump in at the end here to give us a bit of excitement. Of course, you could go to town with this. You could make all sorts of different shapes. You could make challenges. You could make jumps that are hard to make. You could make gaps to jump over. But while you're getting started, the best idea is to keep it simple, because you can come back to this and you can edit it at any time. So we press up on the D-pad now, and that will move the game into play mode, and you can see our track has now landed down on the floor of our world and has created this nice little ramp. Now we've got our test skateboard here that we showed you earlier, so just to see how it runs, and you can see that we've got a nice little jump. If we stay at the front there, you can have fun trying to land that skateboard on the other side. Great. So now what we need to do is to show you how to create the skateboard, so let's go and do that. So find some space, bring up the Pop It menu by pressing square, and then pick the material you want to make your skateboard out of. Now this could be any material, but I'm going to stick to cardboard because that's what I've used before. And you need to remember that each material has a different weight and has different physical qualities to it, so using a different material will change it. Now size it. Now you need to use the left and right triggers to make sure that you get some depth to that cardboard stick, and then as you extrude it along, you have then created the skateboard shape. And again, select it and make it bigger, and then you can make these two little axle points that enable us to much easier connect the wheels, because of course we need some skateboard wheels. So if we pop back into the menu, down to collected objects, now right down at the bottom, your menu might look slightly different depending on how many items you've collected. We're going to go across and we're going to pick, what should we do? Yeah, the tricycle wheels. So get those in position. Again, you need to see that they're not going to be stuck in the cardboard because they won't turn, but on the edge there, so that they're in line with those axle points we made. Try and get them in the centre. It doesn't matter too much. Now we can just have these two wheels on one side. You don't need to worry about the other side. But what we do need to do is attach them to the rest of that skateboard, to those skateboard axles. And you do that by going into the gameplay items and selecting two bolts. There you go. We've got one bolt connected, and then we've got the other bolt connected. And if you click play, you can see that your skateboard, or sort of skate cart as we've created, is rolling around. Once you've done that, click back on the D-pad and that will rewind and put you back in the position where you were before. Now what we need to do now is add some sensors, because the player needs to be able to control when the rockets fire. So you pick these player sensors and you place it on the skateboard in the right place. Now again, you need to press the square button as you've got that selected, and you can see you've got lots of different options. And it's important to size the area of that sensor so that when the player is in it, he will be detected and it will trigger those jets. And as you'll see later on, there is a bit of trial and error to this. Now, I don't want this to be perfect, so I want you to see some of the mistakes we're making as we go, because it's in those mistakes, particularly with kids, that you learn how the different items work. Right, now this is the exciting bit. We're going to add the rocket boosters and that's going to make it a little bit bigger. We'll attach one to the back There you go. Again, it's worth lining it up with those trigger buttons, and then we're going to attach one to the front. So we've got the rockets there, but what we need to do is to then attach the sensors to the rockets. So we're going to go back into our pop-it menu and click our pop-it view. Whoops, just rewind there. So we can then pick the sensor, and what we'll have to do is to try and tie the cable. Now at one end of the sensor there's a little light that lights up. If you go to that, press X, you can see a cord extends from it, as you can then extend to the thruster. Now we want the front sensor to be detected and to trigger the rear thruster, and we want the back sensor to trigger the front thruster. Now it can be a little bit difficult to pick the end of the sensor that you want to trigger. So if you just have a look, it is there. You can see there it says output, and second time lucky, I've got my cord and I can attach that to the thruster. Now once you've done that, you can then go into play by pressing up on the D-pad, and then you can test if it's actually working. Now this may not work first time, and I think for you as well, it is a matter of trial and error. And I can spot something already. Can you see how my front sensor is attached to the wheel rather than attached to the skateboard? Which means that sometimes the player's in contact with it and sometimes he's not. So that's something we need to adjust. So all you have to do is pop back into the pop-it menu, go down to your sensor, press X on it to move it, and then you can place it down in a more convenient place so it's not on the wheel. So there you go. That is our little cart. It's now working. If we stand at the front, the rear jet fires, and if we stand at the back, the front jet fires. And we need to now decide how big we want it to be, and then have a play to see how this is going to work going down our ramp. Now of course we've just used a very limited selection of items in LittleBigPlanet 3, and there are literally hundreds, so you can create a fully fledged video game pretty much to your heart's content. If we're going to see if we're going to make this jump. What's really nice about it, there you can see there's a real-time physics that all your items inherit, so you don't have to worry about how the mathematics of the world work. You just pick and mix the items you want, and away you go. Then what's nice about this is that as soon as you've made them, you can copy and paste your different rocket skateboards and bring in another player and have what is actually quite a nice little two-player playground battle. As you can see, the boys here are racing to see who can get over the jump first. And as we've discovered, our jump maybe isn't that well designed. So time to rewind and try again. The challenge here is to see who can get to the end first. And so with just a few basic elements, we've created what is essentially the first parts of a video game. You could add challenges to this, you could add obstacles, you could even add enemies. But as it stands, you can see Tom jumping on Ollie's skateboard and Ollie almost getting run over as they head to the finish. So even with just a few elements, as I've said, you can really have a lot of fun creating and learning with LittleBigPlanet 3 on the PlayStation 4. So that's our look at what games on the PlayStation 4 are really good to get your kids into creating rather than just consuming content, and setting them on the track to creating video games for themselves.